My Lords, I rise to speak to my amendment number 144 in this group. Before I do so, may I express my support for the argument made so eloquently by my noble friend Lord Udmy Lister on behalf of my noble friend Lord Mott. I think the amendments in this group should be relatively uncontroversial because we are all, I think, pushing in the same direction. And one of the key features of where we're going is, of course, the protection of children, on which we're all united. My amendment relates to something where I think the government has misfired slightly in drafting the bill. They seek to regulate the flavours of vapes. And there's a most intriguing further amendment in this group in the name of the noble Lord Earl Russell, which seeks to tease out what it is the government means by a flavour of a vape. Both of us, both the noble Earl and I think, are trying to come at the question of flavour as distinct from the description applied to that flavour. And my amendment substitutes the word descriptor for the word flavour. Now, I speak as a vaper, and I have to say from my own experience, I have smoked, smoked isn't the right word, I have vaped vapes that have been described on the packet as blueberry ice, mango ice, and things of that sort. What I'd like to say immediately from my experience is that none of them taste like what they say. I can assure you that the vape that is called mango ice doesn't bear any resemblance to anything that you could describe as a mango, and very much the same can be said of blueberries and so forth. I like blueberries. I actually eat blueberries, and they're very good if you keep them in the fridge. So I know what blueberries taste like, and I like mangoes as well, but they don't taste like what these vapes taste like. Of course, what we really want to control, I think it's fair to say, is the description applied. And I'll take this in two parts, first in relation to children and then in relation to adults. It's obviously the case that a descriptor can be applied to a vape which is designed to induce, if not seduce, a child into smoking a vape. If something were called bubblegum mango, I'm not a marketing man, so I may not have chosen the best example there, but if I saw something on the shelf that was described as bubblegum mango, I would think that descriptor was designed to appeal to a child. I actually think the government should be able to regulate the descriptor on those vapes so as to eliminate descriptions which are designed to or maybe inadvertently appeal to a child. But that isn't the power taken in this clause. It is a power to regulate the flavour, which, as I say, I think is both subjective and often at some distance from the descriptor that is applied. Now, the government may say, the noble Baroness may say, I take your point on that, but I still want the power to regulate flavours, because I'm thinking now about adults. And adults, of course, can see past descriptors. They're not likely, most adults, I think, to find much appeal in something describing itself as bubblegum ice or whatever, bubblegum mango. But nonetheless, there can be flavours that adults who don't like the taste of tobacco might be seduced into, in the way that menthol cigarettes were used perhaps to appeal to adults who didn't like tobacco and so forth. I can see that. But I also think it's important to remember that vapes are a very important smoking cessation tool. And it is clear, I think, from evidence from the industry that having a range of different flavours available is something which makes them, yes, attractive to adults, but not attractive in a way that seduces them into wickedness, but rather that makes it easier for them to use vapes to give up smoking. So I think I know I'm trying to be helpful. I'm sure the Noble Earl is seeking to be helpful in this as well. We both agree that in the protection of children, but we think the government has really, rather lazily perhaps, aimed at the wrong thing here in regard of flavours. It is the marketing, it is the descriptor that the government should be aiming at rather than the flavour. And I hope that the Noble Baroness will take that amendment, my amendment, in the spirit in which it's intended as being helpful, and perhaps agree that she should look more closely at this and perhaps come back with a more subtle and nuanced amendment on report.